My girlfriend cheated and then asked to date us both. I took our entire apartment with me on my way out. Trigger warning: cheating, emotional manipulation, abusive behavior, toxic relationships, mention of sexual abusive, edit. To clear up confusion, I am a woman, and my ex is a woman. We are both queer women. It was my first serious relationship, and we had a dog, cat, and apartment together. I was extremely dedicated to her, and I paid most of the bills and did all of the life management stuff. Just a tip: look for an equal. I paid for basically every furnishing in the home despite her making more. My ex was horrible with money. My ex had met some girl online, and I caught her cheating. She gaslit me until I snooped and found the proof. She then had the gall to ask me if she could date us both while she figured out what she wanted. I was done. I booked movers. Moving day came. They packed everything except her bed, desk, clothes, and two $5 IKEA coffee tables. And goodbye every single piece of kitchenware. Here's where I got really petty. I left the paper plates and plastic cutlery but took everything else. When I left the apartment, it had no sofa, no dining table, no chairs, no wall decor, no bathroom towels, and no shower curtain, no bathroom materials, except one roll of toilet paper. I didn't even leave the soap in the kitchen, because I'd bought that. And I didn't even want the shower curtain. It was a dollar store find, but I wasn't about to let her keep it. The look on her face when she realized I was leaving was stunned because she didn't realize what that would mean for her. Then she told all of her friends that I was a B4, taking all of our stuff that only I paid for. She had the gall to expect to cheat on me and expect to be allowed to keep things I had bought. She then, as I was moving out, asked me to stay, but when I refused, she lined up a new roommate with an aggressive dog who basically destroyed the apartment. She was evicted 3 months later for non-payment of rent and spent months living at a campsite. I was even nice and had left her a letter detailing the bills and when they were due. Made no difference. She's tried to be friends a few times since, seemingly forgetting how we ended things. I hear she's cheated on all her new partners repeatedly since we were together. Good riddance, Kara. I took the dog too. I paid for the dog. The cat was hers pre-relationship. Comment 1, happened to me with my first wife. She went on spring break. We were in grad school with her friend and left her wedding ring in our apartment. I moved out. Tried to be more than fair. Left her all the dishes, pots, pans, silverware, furniture, etc. I even separated the bank accounts and took just enough for me to cover my bills. We never moved back in together, but it took us a year longer before we finally divorced. After it was finalized, we got together one last time to split stuff that we had in storage. All I wanted were some Christmas decorations my grandmother gave me. She tried to argue that since we were married when my grandmother gave them to me, she should get half of them. She didn't even like my grandmother. I told her that was fine. She smiled and started picking out pieces. But, I added, I want half the wedding china, silverware, furniture, and I also wanted the dryer. It's only fair since we got them together. Her smile faded, she put down the decorations, and walked out of the storage unit. I took my decorations and never saw her again. Comment 2, I have had only one toxic ex in my life. We lived together with 2 cats. Amicable split, but we kept living together, and things just soured exponentially with time. It didn't help that occasionally we would still sleep with each other. She started to get jealous about other girls I was talking to, and admittedly, I also felt jealous of the attention she was getting. But I had mentally committed to not being in a relationship with her. We just weren't compatible long term. Obviously not the ideal situation, but it's the one we were in. One day when I was on a full day of work, she organized her family and some mutual friends to come and help her move out all her furniture. Most of our stuff was mine, but she did contribute to a few items, and I took no issue with her claiming ownership of them because they were things like the bed frame she used when we split, kitchen appliances that she used more than I did, that sort of thing. I thought the majority of what she took was reasonable. There were petty items as well, like the rubbish bin. Not that I was attached. But I paid for that, and she was moving into a house that already had a bin, so that was clearly just an attempt to get to me. She also emptied out all the silverware drawers. The silverware was hers, but left them scattered on the floor like the house had been ransacked. All the cupboards open with her stuff gone and my stuff strewn on the floor, that kind of thing. Mostly it was small and petty things, like that, which mainly made me exhale with comedic disbelief given the efforts I'd made to keep things civil. The mutual friends that helped her move later confided that they had to talk her out of taking and damaging a lot more stuff, so I guess I did get lucky, all things considered. I did, however, take massive issue with one thing. As I walked into a stripped-down house, my cat came running up to me, obviously hungry. We had an established routine where we each took turns feeding the cats on days where the other worked because we both had a tendency to finish late. This day she decided not only to skip feeding my cat but to take every single crumb of cat food in the house. My poor baby was alone and shut in a dark house with no food. It was cold, especially because my cat actually quite liked her and they had formed a bond while we were together. It's the main thing that led to her getting her own cat. It's not my cat's fault that we had irreconcilable differences. I still don't know how she did it. You could be the absolute worst person ever to me and I would still feed your cat on the way out and definitely not take every crumb of food with me so I can somehow use your pet as a vehicle for my spite. Comment 3, when my ex left, they wanted to take the kitty and dump them at the shelter. Our shelter isn't a no-kill shelter, so I knew the cat had little chance for survival. More importantly, it was a lame attempt to get back at me as the kitty preferred my company instead of my ex. As our relationship dragged itself along the rocks. This fact infuriated my ex. So I did the only thing I could think of, I let the cat escape. From experience, I knew the cat liked to hide out in a wickedly huge thorny fern that had no qualms about ripping your clothes. I also knew that the cat had zero interest in coming back unless it started raining. Ex just assumed the cat ran away, I guess as it was never brought up again. My ex came back just once to try and find the cat and steal our bed before I changed the locks. My ex then moved away to Texas, never to be heard from again. I had that cat for over 15 years. She didn't care for my kids as babies but absolutely loved partaking in any spilled formula. She died peacefully a few years ago in my mother's arms. I still have that fern. Comment 4, one of my first girlfriends was a legit F-psycho. I stayed way longer than I should have. Best moment of my life was a dream wherein it my deceased granddad who meant everything to me asked if I'd be proud to introduce her to him, and when I woke up I was like F no, I wouldn't, I'd be ashamed to. Broke up with her shortly after, and made her pay me back rent and sign forms to remove my name from the lease. She didn't pay and got kicked out. Months later she emailed me saying simply, I miss you. I didn't reply at first, but after a week I was like, I feel bad not replying. I replied saying I got your email and didn't want to leave it unanswered, but I think you're a terrible person and would rather die alone than be with you. Last time I ever spoke to her and never looked back. Comment 5, amazing, well done. I did pretty much the same thing to my cheating ex when I divorced her years ago. After I caught her, she went down to visit her new lover for the weekend. I invited some friends over, we packed up all the shit in the apartment. Even the food. Took it all and moved out. The only thing I left was her clothes in the closet, and our bed. Seriously, the TV, couch, art on the walls. Everything. When she returned after her weekend away, she called me all furious and asked me how dare I take everything. Raged about how she's got nothing to sit on, nothing to watch. That I took the food really got her. She asked me what she was supposed to do now, and how she was going to pay rent since I'm not paying my half after moving out. I replied, ask your new guy. He's your man now. And then I hung up. Comment 6, love to hear it. I had a crazy B roommate. Picture fighting with her boyfriend in her underwear in the street at 2 a.m. kind of crazy, and that was my roomie. We lived together in our first apartment when we were 21, and we basically tortured each other just by breathing because we were so used to life at our parents' house, and being on our own was a shock. When I finally moved out, I took literally everything. I took the couches just to throw them away because we had trashed them. The best part was that I had lived there just over 3 years, so according to California law, I was not responsible for the condition of the carpet or paint. The look on her face when she realized that everything was gone but the stuff I considered to be cheap shit, like plates and the tea kettle, was priceless. Comment 7, love a story with a happy ending. I did something very similar. My ex was an abusive piece of shit. He wouldn't let me close any doors in our apartment. He would bump into me on purpose and hurt me. He would play music and video games at top volume late at night. We got noise complaints and that never stopped him. If I closed the door to the bedroom to try to sleep, he would scream at me. No peace, ever. So I decided enough was enough, time to drop this man into a pile of sewage and sadness. I started packing while he was there, but that turned violent, so I left and told him I'll be back for my shit, and I'm leaving while you're at work, see you never. That's exactly what I did. My friend and I loaded up his car and took everything I had bought. Cleaning supplies, basically everything in the kitchen, everything in the bathroom, shower curtain included, everything off the walls, most of the furniture. This fucker had the audacity to call me a thief because I took a bunch of expensive weed paraphernalia that were mine and he had hidden so I wouldn't take them, left him with a roll of toilet paper, his shitty ass life, and a single laundry pod out of a box he tried to hide. My dog and I are now living our best lives, and that friend who helped me is now my everything and more. Moral here is, if they're shitty, they belong in the sewers. Don't settle. Dump their ass. And take absolutely everything with you.